Alright, budget magic time. Playing some Energy Fog in Standard. And this is fine-ish. Spire Bluff for our opponent. Let's just lead on Evolving Wilds. Pass the turn. Got a Fevered Visions, which is good. Opponent. They might be Grixis control. I don't know. Opponent passes. Well, we crack this. Blue, green, white, red. I guess we'll just get a mountain here. Then play an island, play a Prophetic Prism. Draws us a card. Ooh, Fateful Show. Man, this hand can kill very quickly if we just get to cast our stuff. Double Fevered Visions into Fateful Showdown. Opponent passes. Well, that's Cinderglade and Fevered Visions. No counter. Okay. Well, I think we win then. That was my one worry, is our opponent could counter Fevered Visions, but now that Fevered Visions is down, this game is probably just over. Get an Evolving Wilds. Opponent has Anticipate. So this might be Grixis control, just with no black mana yet. Even if it is, though, they're going to have an extremely hard time beating Fevered Visions. It could not be, too. It could just be a blue-red energy deck. They don't have any energy, though. I don't know. Alright, there's an Ether Hub. Oh, it's the Dynavolt Tower deck. Okay. I think we're faster than they are. So, Fevered Visions hits our opponent to 18. We're just going to play another Fevered Visions. Evolving Wilds. Crack our Evolving Wilds. Get a Plains. Pass the turn. Draw a couple from a Fevered Visions. Fevered Visions number 3 and a Glimmer of Genius. Let's just pitch this Tranquil Expanse, I think. Repel the Abominable does stop damage from Dynavolt Tower. And we're going to be able to Fateful Showdown for a lot. Our opponent might have to get in with Wandering Fumarole. Opponent just passes. Alright. Down to 16. Down to 14. Has to discard. Madness is a Fiery Temper. Okay. Gonna put us down to 17. Gets a couple of energy for the tower. Another Glimmer of Genius. Well, Canopy Vista. And let's just pass and see what our opponent does. If our opponent taps down, we probably just Fateful Showdown. So we draw from Fevered Visions. Opponent has another Fiery Temper. I don't think they can kill us next turn. We are down to 11, but they're out of energy. I don't think they have enough burn. So we draw a card. We draw a card. Then we Fateful Showdown our opponent for 8. And pass the turn. Discard Evolving Wilds. Island for our opponent. Unfortunately, we didn't draw another Fateful Showdown. That would likely be game over. Alright, opponent's going to get in with Fumarole. That'll put us down to 7. And then they're just hoping they can kill us before they die. I don't think we can get enough energy for this tower. If we draw Fateful Showdown, we should just win. Alright, Galvanic Bombardment on the Fumarole to get some energy. Sure. Drops to 4, drops to 2. Oh, there it is. Alright. So, Fateful Showdown, number 2 off the top. And that should be the game. Just how we drew it up. Sweet. So, in blue-red spells, Summary, Dismissals, Void Shatters, Negates, maybe Quarantine Fields. Our opponent might bring in counters, and they might bring in creatures. If they bring in creatures, actually, why would they bring in creatures? I guess to go on the offensive. They didn't see any creatures from us. So we probably need to go down Fumigate. Prevent all combat damage will be dealt by creatures. Okay. Go down Encircling Fissures. Go down a Deadlock Trap. And a couple Commencement of Festivities. something like this? I don't know. If they bring in creatures, we're going to regret sideboarding this way. If they don't bring in creatures, I think this is fine. So we'll find out. Alright, we're a little short on lands, but we got Fevered Visions, we got Dynavolt Tower, and we got some random jank. Opponent leads on Wandering Fumarole, so hopefully we draw a land would be best. Another Dynavolt Tower. Well, if we don't get to play our 3-drops, I mean, we get 2 more turns to draw land. Spire Bluff for our opponent. And take inventory, not super scary. Alright, Lumbering Falls works. That's a land. So Lumbering Falls, go. Good old quarantine field in this hand. Double blue, double white, throwing some red mana. 0 white lands. Why not? Opponent passes. And let's just play a mountain. And let's Dynavolt Tower. I'm expecting more counters from our opponent's deck, but I don't think they can just trade 1 for 1 with us. They mulligan once, and we have Fevered Visions. So pass the turn. There's a mountain for our opponent. And passes. Well, Evolving Wilds. They might have Glimmer of Genius. Let's just Dynavolt Tower 2. If they got a counter, they gotta counter this. 2 towers is pretty absurd. Alright, there's a Void Shatter. Sure. Better to get that countered than to get a Fevered Visions countered. Fevered Visions is a real payoff. In all honesty, Dynavolt Tower is in the deck to deal with Planeswalkers, essentially. Now, I'll crack this. Get a Plains. Canopy Vista. Yeah, let's just pass the turn. We got the tower. Our opponent does not. We don't really want to tap out and lose our Fevered Visions. Dynavolt Tower for our opponent. Alright, we'll Void Shatter that. If our opponent counters, then we get to untap and Fevered Visions, and that's fine. So we don't even really care if they get this tower. I mean, we'd rather prevent it, but we're very fine with them just Void Shattering back or something, and then we get Fevered Visions. Once we stick a Fevered Visions, I don't think they can... Alright, they have Dispel. So Dispel means they might be able to still counter our Fevered Visions. Well, I think we're going to go for it. Fevered Visions. Alright, Fevered Visions down, and I feel like we are firmly in the driver's seat here. Another Repel. Repel is such a sneaky answer. Because it shuts down Dynavolt Tower. All damage from non-human sources. So not combat damage, not anything like that. Just any damage. If it's not from a human, it's going to shut it down. So it stops Fumarole, stops Dynavolt. It's our only Fog that doesn't care about combat damage, which is pretty sweet to have as an option. Opponent passes, drops to 18. We get a Cinderglade, and pass the turn. Ooh, another tower. Fiery Temper for our opponent. Gets some energy. Okay. Down to 17. Down to 14. Ether Hub. Opponent take inventory. Alright, draws them 2. Jeez. This is maybe the nut draw with this deck. Take inventory into take inventory. So they've had 3 take inventories in the top 18 cards. It's kind of above average, but okay. So their opponent's back up to 6 cards in hand. Passes. Drops down to 16. Let's play a second Dynavolt Tower. And pass the turn. Draw a Prophetic Prism. Actually, not a horrible draw in this situation. Opponent casts a Fiery Temper, gets some energy. Alright, let's repel the Abominable. Get a bunch of energy. Wow! Wow! Non-human sources includes Dynavolt Tower. Our opponent emptied some energy for no gain there. Plays another land. Fires up Wandering Fumarole. Goes attacking. Gets in 4-1. Alright, let's Dynavolt Tower it. So we got through Dynavolt Tower number 1. Our opponent's going to drop to 14 here off Fevered Visions. Yep, down to 14. We get a forest. Let's just Prophetic Prism, draw a card. Play a forest. Play Prophetic Prism, draw another card. And pass the turn. We draw a Evolving Wilds. Ugh, okay. Opponent anticipates, gets a couple of energy. Still not enough for the Dynavolt Tower, though. I guess Ether Hub would give them enough. There's a Thing in the Ice, sure. And Thing in the Ice number 2. Alright, Tormented Voice. Get some counters off the Things in the Ice. Get some energy. So they do have enough for their Dynavolt Tower now. Opponent passes, drops to 12 off of our Fevered Visions. We get a Summary Dismissal. I think we wait one more turn. 1, 2, 3. Actually, maybe we just pass with everything up. Yeah, let's just play Cinderglade and pass the turn, play defense. I think we're actually kind of winning as it is. So we draw a card. Another Fevered Visions for next turn. Opponent anticipates. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And just Summary Dismissal. So we get some energy. We're going to counter Anticipate, counter the Thing in the Ice triggers, counter our opponent's energy, all that stuff. We still have Void Shatter thanks to our double Prism, even though we don't have any blue mana up. Ether Hub for our opponent. Another Thing in the Ice. And passes. Now let's hit our opponent. Down to 9. And then down to 7 from Fevered Visions. Ooh, that is a Glimmer of Genius. Alright, Evolving Wilds, pass the turn. I think we actually just win on our opponent's end of turn next turn, potentially. If not, we should win during our main phase. We draw another tower. Opponent hits us down to 11. Untaps. Goes with Glimmer of Genius. Gets some energy. Okay. Actually, maybe we do this right now. Let's repel the Abominable. Get some energy. Before our opponent gets to draw. Opponent has a negate. And then we Void Shatter the negate. Counters come off Thing in the Ice. Energy goes flowing all around. Dynavolt Tower our opponent. Down to 4. Repel resolves. Alright, so now we can't die this turn. Opponent gets 2 Glimmer of Genius. They're not going to take damage off of Fevered Visions, but hopefully Glimmer of Genius will win us the game. Opponent anticipates. Okay, Thing in the Ices are going to flip. Alright. Opponent goes attacking. Doesn't really matter because we prevented the damage. Awoken Horror, not human. Crack Evolving Wilds, get an island. And Glimmer of Genius, get some energy. I think this works because if our opponent counters it, we can just do the biggest quarantine field of all time and get rid of like our opponent's entire board. Or we just keep both of these. That should do it. And our opponent gave us the GGs! Alright. Whoo! I think we got there. And our opponent scoops it up. Sweet! Well, that's Energy Fog. Weird matchup, but the energy and the fog pulled through.